All right, well, good evening, District 4. This is our fifth of 8 community meetings. And I'm joined with, here with the police chief and the heads of nearly all the city departments. And you're going to hear in a minute from Nicole Sherrod-Freeman, who runs our Economic Development and Job Training Program. And we want to feature one department head for a few minutes to study each meeting to give you a sense of the talent that is working in the city and to give you an idea of how many services are available to you because you do live in the city of Detroit. And so I'm going to be relatively brief. I did a session earlier today, and hopefully the information is available online, but we set up a Good Neighbors program, so we need to get the vaccination rate up. I'm hoping that people will turn to their friends, their relatives, and their neighbors, and if you book an appointment and take them in for the shot, you get a $50 gift card. I don't know if I still have it in my pocket. I do. So you get a $50 MasterCard gift card, and if you bring them back for the second appointment, you get another $50 gift card. If you happen to have 3 friends and bring them, you get 3 of these cards. So what we are trying to do is take the residents of this city who are thinking about getting the vaccine, might be hesitant, might like some emotional support, or might just need a ride, and say to anybody, if you want to be a good neighbor, we will recognize that. So if you're interested in doing that, please check out the information on the Health Department website. The way that this works, if you haven't participated in one of these before, is Nicole Sherrod-Freeman is going to come up now, talk to you about the programs that she's running, and then I'm going to come back and from now till 8:30 answer your questions. And I would ask that people who don't live in District 4, please be respectful. Tonight is the night that the folks in District 4 get to ask questions about their neighborhoods, their parks, their streets, et cetera. And I don't want the folks in that neighborhood to get crowded out. So if you could, at least in the early half of it, really defer to those in District 4, and then we'll try to get to everybody. We'll go till 8:30, and then we'll go listen to the president give his speech to the joint session of Congress. So with that, you're going to be in for a treat, but our Economic Development Director, Nicole Sherrod-Freeman.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening to District 4. I am really glad to have the chance to talk to you this evening. There are 3 things that I want to share with you. So I want to get you up to speed on what's going on with Stellantis, formerly FCA, and I want to talk to you about some of the other jobs and career opportunities that are available to you, and talk to you a little bit about what Detroit at Work is doing to support you in getting ready. And then I have a brief, what I hope you'll think is a good update on GDYT, Grow Detroit's Young Talent for our young people. And then I want to talk with you briefly about what we're doing to support small businesses in the city. Detroit small businesses were among the hardest hit in the nation, and I want to talk with you about how we are supporting small businesses, because in Detroit, opportunity is rising. So listen, do you remember those FCA events that we ran in 2019 and 2020? They were FCA events then. We have to call them Stellantis, their new name, formerly FCA now. We ran 5 large events in District 4, and we ran more than 200 events in District 4 at our Detroit at Work career centers, and there were at least 2 Detroit at Work career centers in District 4 at the time. And together, between the events we ran at District 4 and the rest of the events across the city, we got more than 16,000 Detroiters ready. We got Detroiters on the list. You'll remember there was a lot of energy, and there was a lot of hype around getting on the list in Detroit. We got more than 16,000 Detroiters ready for opportunities at Stellantis, which was then FCA. But the mayor said to us that getting Detroiters on the list was not enough, right? Of course, he worked to get Detroiters priority, hiring priority, but that wasn't the only deal, right? Like, we needed to be sure that Detroiters were ready for those opportunities. So he said, let's do everything we can to make resources available so Detroiters have what they need. That's what he asked, and that's what we did. We had more than 700 tutoring events across the city, and that was math and mechanical reasoning and problem solving. We gave folks practice questions to take in the room. We gave you the answers, and then you could take those practice questions home. And then we offered lift credits to get you from your home to the interview, your home to the drug test, your home to orientation. We gave you 2 weeks worth of lift credits to get you to your first day at work and beyond. So we were not just about getting you on the list. We were not just about getting you the opportunity, but it's our job to be sure that you're ready. And I want to tell you how all of that played out, or how it has played out so far. I was just talking with the head of talent acquisition at Stellantis, formerly FCA, this morning. And I just want to tell you how things are playing out and what they see and what you can expect next. So far, 2,100 Detroiters have been hired for the Mack engine plant. Another 800 Detroiters chose to start early, and they are working at either Warren Truck, which is just at 8 Mile and Mound, right? It says Warren, but it's just across the border, or the Sterling Heights Assembly Plant. In just the last 2 weeks, another 395 Detroiters got an offer to go to work at the Mack engine plant. But that's not all. In the past couple of months, so since February of 2021, we've sent another 4,400 Detroit at Work candidate names to Stellantis for consideration for their facilities in Detroit. And what's even better is that they're hiring. I mean, obviously their hiring isn't done, but their hiring isn't done. They haven't hired for JNAP yet, the Jefferson North Assembly Plant. There are 1,100 openings at Jefferson North Assembly Plant once that gets off the ground that haven't been filled yet. And so really, I share all these numbers with you because we want you to know the impact that this initiative is having, but what we really want you to take away from this is that after the UAW commitments, and that's what's most important, right? Like UAW commitments come first. Every other job at the Mack engine plant went to a Detroiter, and we're going to do whatever is possible to continue that trend. It turns out that Stellantis FCA was just the start. So other suppliers in the city were watching what we did with FCA, and they asked for the same deal. They said, if you can get Detroiters ready, we will give Detroiters hiring priority. It's not a hiring guarantee, it's priority, which is candidly, I'll tell you, I've been leading the workforce system for the past 4 years. Priority is really all Detroiters need. Detroiters will step up, and we get ready and we stay ready. And so Flex and Gate and Spencer Butcher, Dakota and Universal, New Center Stamping, all have signed agreements, along with obviously Stellantis, to give first consideration, first priority in their hiring to Detroiters. But maybe auto manufacturing isn't for you. And that's okay, because in Detroit, you have choices. So we're working with Brad Dick, who runs our General Services Department, to help him find summer seasonal help. We're working with LaJuan Counts, who leads the Detroit Demolition Department, to help her find demo workers. We're working with Gary Brown at the Water Department to help him fill field service technicians. The corned beef folks in Eastern Market, Grobel, they need food production workers, but they also need quality assurance technicians. If production operator is a title that you held years ago and you've built your skills since then, Flex and Gate is looking for die setters and press technicians. And then look at this. So at Universal, so they're a supplier for FCA, for Stellantis. They're hiring CDLA drivers, those are those big truck drivers. So they'll hire you if all you have is your CDLA license and you don't have any experience at all. As long as you've got a valid license, you're good. But look at this. So for Detroiters who have a valid license, CDL license, and they've got 3 months worth of experience, Universal is paying a $10,000 signing bonus. Tell your friends, right? A $10,000 signing bonus for a CDLA truck driver. Universal is looking for warehouse associates. Maybe healthcare is for you. Henry Ford Health System's just one of the many healthcare providers available to you through Detroit at Work, looking for contact center advocates. Carla Walker Miller, who leads the largest Black female-owned energy services company in the United States, is looking for IT help desk technicians and accounts payable help. The point really here is not to have you walk away and retain all these details. It's to be sure that you know that there are more than 6,700 opportunities available at DetroitAtWork.com. We are sure that there is an opportunity for you, and our career advisors are standing by ready to talk with you about what's next and what's right. Now, I want to slow down for just a minute, and I want to talk with you directly about what we are seeing in the post-pandemic economic recovery. So here's the thing. If you learn more, you will earn more. The post-pandemic economy is going to require better, stronger, higher skills from all of us. So if you or someone you know needs to finish up the basics, if you haven't finished your high school diploma yet, we want you to know it's not too late. And not only can you finish it through a partnership between Detroit Public Schools Community District and Detroit at Work, but we'll pay you to do it. We'll pay you $10 an hour, up to 20 hours a week for up to 6 months, to either finish your high school diploma or get your GED, whichever track is right for you, and we will help you figure that out. We will also provide you, when you enroll and you make good progress, we'll give you a free laptop and we'll give you internet connectivity for 6 months. So don't wait. It's a basic credential that, quite frankly, you have got to have to be successful as the economy starts to recover. Call us at 313-962-WORK or meet us online at DetroitAtWork.com and let us help you figure out the path that's right for you. Maybe you already know, though, that working for somebody else is not your path. So we're excited to be on the 3rd class with Wayne County Community College District of the Detroit at Work Entrepreneurship Training Academy. It's a 2-week, business basics, right? We're not going deep. It's not super technical. It's enough to help you get started. We've had 40 Detroiters complete the program already. The next application deadline is May 9th. Classes are all online until we can get back to being face-to-face, and then maybe even then, because we find that it fits so many people's lifestyles, especially if you have small kids or you are head of household. We'll continue to run some classes online, we're sure, but the point is you can start to learn what it takes to run your own business through the Detroit at Work Entrepreneurship Training Academy in partnership with WC3D. Again, call us at 313-962-WORK or meet us online. And then I'm going to shift topics for just a second here. All of that was about adults. I want to talk for just a minute about our young people. So we ran Grow Detroit's Young Talent last year during the pandemic, just like we do every year that the mayors run the program. There were 8,000 opportunities available last summer. There were 8,006 young people who had an opportunity. Now, many of those were online, but I will tell you, so many of our young people said that the online experience was actually a better experience than what they'd had in prior years because they got the attention of adults in a way that they wouldn't have if they'd been out in an on-site work environment. But we're running GDYT again this year. We'll have another 8,000 students or 8,000 young people. If you have a young person in your life who's between the ages of 14 to 24, we want to encourage you not to let your summer opportunity pass you by. It could be that you're trying to figure out how you're going to balance a summer opportunity with summer school. Maybe you are already claiming unemployment. Don't let that stop you. Call us. We will help you work through all those details. There's a summer opportunity available for you. We've extended the application deadline from May 1st to May 15th. You can go online to gdyt.org or call us at 313-664-5575. So whether you meet us online at DetroitAtWork.com, whether you call us at 313-962-WORK, or whether you choose to call us to make an appointment to come see us, We are on standby to help you find the opportunity that's right for you. So I want to switch topics last time and talk just a little bit about what we're doing for Detroit small businesses. So I said at the top of my comments here, no businesses in this country were hit harder than Detroit's small businesses. And it's not because I'm biased in favor of Detroit small businesses, although I am. It is because our data tells us that. Our data tells us that Detroit small business owners, specifically those who have between 1 to 49 employees, are suffering the most. And so I want to talk with you about what the mayor and the city are doing to support small businesses. So from reopening resources, and that means helping you figure out how you set up your PPE equipment, how you set up like those flexible glass or plastic dividers, helping you figure out financial support, low cost, no cost ways to get capital, getting expert guidance on anything from how do you pivot during these times, right, to figure out how to get online to be an e-commerce business. How do you, think through getting employees back to work using Workshare? How do you think through, are you going to have to pay taxes on the payroll protection program loan that you got last year? Thinking through all of those things, like there are hundreds, literally, of resources available to Detroit small businesses and to small businesses across the state. But let me tell you what we're doing in Detroit. Detroit Means Business is the one-stop shop for Detroit small business owners. You need help figuring out how to connect to the Accounting Aid Society or TechTown or the Small Business Administration or grants available through some of our philanthropic partners. If you're trying to run your business and find a way to keep your business running, you need somebody to get in the trenches with you to help figure that out. That's what Detroit Means Business is. We're not replacing any of the amazing partners who are in the marketplace doing this work already. We're coming alongside them and coming alongside you. Because frankly, having a ton of resources available in the community for small businesses doesn't mean anything if you don't know how to access them and if you don't have help reaching them. Detroit Means Business is seated at Detroit Economic Growth Corporation, DEGC, under the leadership of Kevin Johnson and his team. But we want you to know it's a resource that is available that you should take advantage of. And then lastly, I don't know that there is a way to access capital that's being talked about in the small business community right now more than the Paycheck Protection Program. It's way too much detail for a forum like this, but Martell Bivens is your district business liaison, and he stands ready to help you figure out whether the Paycheck Protection Program or some other grant program or low-cost loan option is right for you. You can reach Martell at a number that I can't see because it's too small. It's 313-510-5288. Is that right? Not in the room. Okay, great. So Martell stands ready to help you. And I just want to leave you with this. Detroit at Work for job and career opportunities, to get skilled and to stay skilled. GDYT for our young people. And Detroit Means Business for small business owners in Detroit. In Detroit, opportunity is rising. Mayor, I'm going to turn it back to you.
So we had this idea that the city of Detroit could be a place where every single person who wanted to work could get a job. And there are, as Nicole said, several thousand jobs available right now at Detroit at Work. If you have a master's in software programming, you probably don't need our help, but we'll help you fill them. But if you have a high school degree and you want to get some training, you're a returning citizen and have been having a hard time, we will be there, and there is a job for you and a path for you. And that's what Detroit at Work is all about. So please, if you know somebody, follow up. So this is the question and answer time. And so we're going to give District 4 residents priority. If you're on your computer, use your raise hand icon. If you're on the telephone, press *9. When you come on, please tell us your name and which neighborhood that you live in, which cross streets or which neighborhood association you're a part of. You're going to have 1 minute to ask your question, so please be concise, and either I or somebody here will answer it. You will be muted after 1 minute because we want to get to everybody. And so with that, let's take the first call.
First caller we have is number ending in 161. You may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Okay,
Hello, Mayor.
good evening.
Okay, sir. My name is Michael Hatchett, and I was calling because I live on Moross and Marne, and I live next to an abandoned house that they keep doing illegal dumping in. And I've been living here since 2011. They've been doing illegal dumping for years, and I was extremely frustrated with it. Then I was able to reach Mr. Perkins. Mr. Perkins told me he had handled it, and within 3 days, he had the city out here cleaning out this yard or not, and that they took care of it. So I just wanted to let you know that I was
You want us to keep Dennis
fast.
Perkins around? All right. So tell me about something we haven't solved.
Okay, well, this property also has been on the demo list for years, and it has not been torn down. And I'm down here fighting with raccoons and rats
Right.
and illegal dumping.
So
I wanted to know when would this property be torn down.
I'm going to let Lawan Council Demolition Director talk about the pace of it, and she can tell you how you can find out. City Council approved the contracts for the first 1,300 demolitions. The voters of this city in November passed Proposal N, and it's going to allow us to basically demolish 8,000 houses and also secure 8,000 so we can move families in. We've prioritized houses, abandoned houses that are next to an occupied house, whatever neighborhood you're in, because way too many of our residents are going to sleep at night worrying about that house next door, and then we're going to roll through. But I'm going to ask Lawan Council to talk about how many she is now bidding every single month and what you can expect.
Okay, because the house is next door to mine.
So good evening. We are actually putting out for bid 360 properties every 2 weeks. So if you weren't in the first 13, or if this particular property was not in the first 1,330 that we released under Release A, you can expect to see that in the coming, relatively soon, in the coming weeks. I would like to reach out to you and speak directly to you about the actual address so I can give you more definitive information. But definitely, the properties that have adjacencies, we're focusing in on those first. So that will be one of the definite ones we were trying to get to as quickly as possible.
So if you will stay on the line and give us the address, there's an excellent chance we can get to you this year. And as Nicole says, they're putting out, I mean, as Luan says, they're putting out 360 basically a month. So it's just going to keep going. And we were really pleased that in the first $30 million, every single one was won by a Detroit company. So we got Detroiters removing the blight. So I hope, I'm confident Luan will get to you quickly. So thank you for the call.
Caller, you'll be moved over to our information room. Next caller we have is Kelly J. You may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Yes, hi. I'm a District 4 resident, and I am concerned with swimming in the city of Detroit. We in this district we have been asking for a swimming pool and a rec center, and we have not gotten any positive responses. My children have swam with the city of Detroit because the city of Detroit has a rec team called the DRST, Detroit Recreation Swim Team. It has been a traveling swim team for years. We have a nationally recognized coach who is qualified under USA Swimming to teach all the way up to the Olympic level. And the pools have been drained and shuttered since the pandemic last
15
year.
seconds.
The cities all around us have been opened their pools in June of last year, and they're back open again. So what is going on with our pools? Why can't we have pools in District 4? Why can't we have open recreation centers so our children can get their swim team going again?
Time.
What's going on with that?
So Denise or Brad, do you want to talk to what's going on with the rec centers and the swimming pools as far as the health regulations?
Hello. I'm a fellow District 4 resident, so I'm nice to talk to you. We closed the centers last year because of COVID. The plan is to open the swimming centers back up, pools back up this fall. We are opening up outdoor pools this summer, and we'll be opening up the recreation center pools starting the beginning prepped this summer and be ready to go in September, and that's our plan. We did it last year out of safety reasons. We feel confident this year we should be in good shape to open the pools back up this year. Okay.
Okay, the safety reasons, were prevalent across the state. But cities all across the state were able to open up their pools and our children didn't have access to, and now they're like 6, 7 months behind in training and they're not qualifying like they used to. Our children were making it to the 3rd and 4th level of championship in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what other cities and states did across what they did, but the decision that we made was to keep the pools closed for safety purposes, and that's the decision that we made. We followed based off science and took direction from our health department, and that's how we proceeded. And I can't erase the past, but I can make up for it going forward in the future. So, okay, thank you.
All right, who's next?
Caller, you'll be moved over to our information room. Next caller we have is Brenda B. Brenda B., you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. I'm a resident in District 4.
What neighborhood do you,
Neighborhood,
I'm sorry, what neighborhood?
Chandler Park neighborhood,
Okay.
living in District 4. I would like to speak with David Bell in BC, please.
All right, Dave, are you here? All right, I'll just pass it right over and let you talk to him.
Good evening. How are you?
Good evening, Mr. Bell. How are you?
I'm fine.
I need to speak with you regarding my nonprofit organization. We purchased a trailer and we need to discuss with you some code requirements and regulations, if that is possible.
Definitely. We're going to move you over to the waiting area and we'll set up a time to meet with you via Zoom in the next few days.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Brenda B., you'll be moved over to our information.
Easiest question Dave's ever had, so he was waiting for the other shoe. Who's next? All right, and he will follow up promptly.
Next caller we have is Alexis M. Alexis M., you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Good evening. Alexis, are you there? Hear a sound.
Next caller we have is Robert S. Robert S., you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. My name's Robert Sissel. I live in the Jefferson-Chalmers district. And as a UAW screener, we have asked people in the past, and I would like to ask you to consider, what are your 5 things that you would do different in your next administration if elected? I'd like some time to respond to that if I can.
Yeah, well, this isn't really a debate, but let's see, the 5 things. First thing is, we want to fundamentally raise the literacy and the GED high school rates. We got lots of folks who are smart and want to work hard and can't even get an interview at those $36,000 Jeep jobs because they don't have a high school degree. And so you're going to see a huge expansion of our program to pay people $10 an hour to get those skills. We definitely want to finish the job in removing every abandoned building from this city over the next 5 years. I think our children are psychologically affected for growing up in these conditions, and we need to treat that with the urgency that we ought to. We definitely have to get the gun violence down. I know Chief Craig and the judges and the prosecutor are very anxious to get the courts open. We had it going a good direction for a while. We have much more to do. I'd like to see speed humps in every neighborhood that wants them. And so my hope is that we'll eventually combine traffic enforcement officers with control in the neighborhoods. And the fifth thing probably is what Conrad Mallett is heading up now, which is the Community Health Corps, which is sending in teams of our workers into the poorest homes in this city and sitting down at the table and talking with them about all the issues and all the barriers. We're finding folks who are eligible for the bridge card for basic food services who can't figure out how to apply for it because it's so complicated. We have so many opportunities to improve the lives of people by that kind of personal touch. So those are probably the things that we would do in hopefully well in the next 4 or 5 years. Go ahead.
Next caller we have is Sandra T. Sandra T., you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening.
This is Sandra Andy. I'm in District 4, and I'm over the Denby Neighborhood Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
The group that did Skinner Park.
Right. I've been there.
Yes, you have. I got the pictures to prove it.
Right. Your neighborhood group did an amazing job in partnership with our parks people. Doesn't it look better?
Yes, and we did a second park, commemoration park, that you have to come and see.
I haven't been to that one yet. Now I'm feeling bad. Brad, you got to get me out there. Go ahead. You probably had a question.
That was part of your 40 parks
Right.
initiative. Okay, so my question is this. Dennis has come to our 9th precinct meeting, which I'm the president,
Okay.
and he's told us about the 500 feet lots that are able to be purchased and things like that. But when we go online, we're not finding any lots available in this community.
So what are you looking for lots to do?
Like small pocket parks.
Oh,
with
we
the
can do
right
that.
In the neighborhood.
Okay, so I am going to set you up with Saskia Thompson, who has got land, and I just tell you, I think in the next 3 or 4 years, that Denby neighborhood is going to be one of the most rapidly improving neighborhoods in this city. You've got some solid housing stock that's been allowed to deteriorate for a long time.
Yes.
But we also have vacant land. So I'm going to ask Saskia Thompson to come up and talk to you, and then she's going to call you tomorrow, and I want to get you that land for your neighbor groups to put those pocket parks together. Saskia?
Yes, good evening. I'm Saskia Thompson. I'm the Executive Director of the Detroit Land Bank Authority. I think what you're specifically referring to is our neighborhood lot program, which is similar to a side lot, but you don't have to be immediately adjacent to the lot to purchase it. You just need to live within 500 feet. We launched that program last October, and we've been making more lots available as we can. If you're not seeing available right now, that doesn't mean that they won't be. We are pushing more lots to that platform every single week, but I would be happy to talk to you. We'll put you in the information room. I'll get your contact information, and I'll, excuse me, give you a call and find out when you might start seeing things in your neighborhood become available, and then walk you through the process of how you would go about securing them.
But we don't even have a lot of side lots available. That's the problem. Because I would purchase the side lot and put a park on it just for my community with no problem.
Okay. Well, again, I'll get your address, and we can pull up a map of your immediate adjacent area and figure out what's available, what we can do, and how we can get them sold to you.
I don't want you to leave yet. So, Rob, would you schedule a neighborhood meeting with me and the Denby group about a month from now? there is no reason we can't get you land for pocket parks quickly. So we're going to give Saskia and the Land Bank a month to work it out, then I'm going to come out and visit you. You can show me your new park, and we're going to solve this land issue, because you guys have been terrific. We don't need to own the properties, and we're going to make this happen quickly.
Ms. Turner, you'll be moved over to our information room. Next caller we have is John M. John M., you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
John, are you there?
Evening.
Good evening.
Here. So I'm calling from Jeff Chalmers, District 4, and I'm going to start off by saying that the General Services Department has responded to our begging and pleading to make our riverfront parks nice. They've done a lot of trimming this year. We've got a lot of improvements, a lot of investment, and we've also got a lot of traffic. And so fortunately, we're meeting with the design of the Lennox Center.
Right.
I talked with Brad today, so we're going to have a meeting, and I want to just make sure that you're able to make that. We'd really like to talk about park rangers. I've been involved in the
15
parks
seconds.
for 35
15
years.
seconds.
Back in 2000, we used to actually close up A.B. Ford Park at the Lakewood end. The Lennox end was always closed because when they left the Lennox Center at 5 o'clock, they closed the parking lot up. It was a totally different place.
Time.
Have people speeding up and down. And so we really want to look at park rangers.
So I don't know what a park ranger can do that a police officer can't, but I want to have the conversation. We're putting a huge amount of time and effort in. We significantly, the chief allocated a major increase in overtime out of the precinct, specifically for those parks. Of course, Brad has been very actively engaged. Roger Penske, of course, is contributing $5 million to the Lennox Center. We're spending a lot of time there. So I'm willing to listen on the park rangers, but I'm not sure what authority the park rangers would have that the police would not. But I'm happy to have that conversation. And it sounds like you and Brad know each other well, and maybe you could set that up. Maybe we could have the police chief and the commander join that too. All right? Okay.
Could I follow up?
Sure can.
The other thing is, there's a lot of people that want a swimming pool down in our parks. We've looked at it for also 30 years. Back 15 years ago, the Joan Kroc gave us a $50 million grant to build a state-of-the-art recreation center. We decided on Chandler Park and Connor. I say we go back to them and we go to FCA or whatever they call themselves now. Gilbert and all the rest, and we look at a regional recreation center central to our area.
Yep. So we're going to be looking at a recreation plan overall, and you may not like the answer to this, but we've only got 12 or 13 recreation centers for the entire city, and building new swimming pools is extremely important. And what I would really like to do is have more recreation centers in more areas, and I'm not sure that spending the money on swimming pools is going to allow that. We're just not in that situation. But again, I'm willing to have the conversation. I am hoping we're going to talk about building a couple new recreation centers in this city in addition to Lennox, and that's something that we'll be discussing in the next few months.
John, you'll be moved over to the information room. Next caller we have is Maureen D. Maureen D., you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Good evening, Mayor. We've been I'm a 28-year resident of East English Village. I have been working diligently all during COVID on the East Warren Business Corridor project.
Right.
And I'm really, really pleased with the team that was put together to work on this. I'd like to give a shout out to Alan Penniman with the city and to Joe Rashid with East Warren Business Development Corp, because those two individuals really kept us on track. I understand that the construction is not scheduled, or the beginning construction is not scheduled till 2022.
We're going to design it this
Wondering
year and build
if-
it next year.
Yeah, but is there any chance that some of the possible federal stimulus money, the funding might be appropriated to jumpstart the project? Our residents are so excited about
15
this
seconds.
happening, and any chance to move this ahead. We have 3 major projects going along the corridor, and I don't want to see what happened on Livernois happen to these major projects, where they get the business going and then construction disrupts the business.
Well, I think if you talk to the Livernois business owners today, they would tell you enthusiastically that it has benefited their businesses enormously. But the level of construction tearing out the median and building at Livernois, we aren't going to have to do anyplace else. This would be probably more like what we did on McNichols or on Kercheval, but I'm very excited about it too. That East Warren corridor, I remember 25 years ago, it was vibrant. I think we can bring it back. And so our problem is not money, our problem is time to design. So we need to get the neighbors to agree. Part of the delay is I want to make that strip longer, and I continue to push to make the strip longer. I don't know if we're talking, what, 3 mile to Cadju now. And so the answer is yes, it's possible to put stimulus money in. If we do, it means we can build a better streetscape. But we're still going to need this year for the neighbors to agree. Then we've got to have the engineers design it this year, and we will build it next year. And so that's our commitment, and I think you're going to be really pleased at the way it turns out.
Ms. Maureen, you'll be moved over to our information room. Next caller we have is Michelle J. Michelle J., you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Good evening, Mayor. How are you?
Good evening.
My name is Michelle Jackson. I am Vice President of the Chandler Park Neighborhood Association and Executive Director of Sustainable Community Farms. I have been on property since 2008, been through 4 mayors, and still have not been able to get the property that we've been taking care of since 2008.
What kind of property are you talking about?
It's vacant lands, actually just about a city block. It's right behind Chandler Park. We've been taking care of that area ever since 2008.
Okay, what would you like us to do?
We want the land that we've applied for in 2018, 19, and 2020.
Okay, so when you say we, who has applied for it?
Sustainable Community Farms.
So
We
you've
are
got
part-time-
a nonprofit's applied for it. Who did you apply to?
the land bank.
The land bank. Saskia, are you aware of this?
I've been through, I think, 3 directors over there.
Okay, who did you talk to last?
Sarah.
Is Sarah over there? Okay. So how many lots are you looking for?
A total of, it should be now maybe about 11.
And what would you like to do with the property?
We're doing urban farming on the land. I've been nice enough not to put any structures, as the city has said not to do.
I'm with you so far. And so are the neighbors in that area gonna like that urban farm?
Oh, yes, we have meetings there all the time. We have events there. We have to clean up every year. We have receipts and pictures.
Okay, so I want to see the details, but I'm 95% with you. As far as I'm concerned, when we have an active community group like yours with support of the neighbors, I want to move the property from us to you as quickly as possible, unless there's some title glitch, and sometimes there is, but we're going to dig into it. So Saskia Thompson is going to call you tomorrow, and Rod, I'm looking for you to follow up too, but I would like to see us, unless there's objections from other neighbors, I want to make sure I hear from everybody, but if we've got somebody who's going to take vacant land and put it to a use the neighbors want, I'd like to get it moved as quickly as possible. All right, so give us a little bit of time. We're going to see if we can't get this done for you, and maybe we'll get it complete before you get to know a 5th mayor.
Ms. Jackson, you'll be moved over to our information room. Next caller we have is A. Bomani. A. Bomani, you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Yes, how you doing?
Good. Good evening.
Yes, I'd like to know, my name is Ani Bomani, District 4 candidate, and I'd like to know when you plan to open up the Maharis Recreation Center for our young people, and why do our libraries have to be on wheels here in District 4?
So two things. Let's start with the libraries. The libraries are actually under the Detroit School Board. And so you should talk to your school board members, but the school board appoints the library commission, and that's not something that I am aware of. But we've had a number of meetings, and we are putting the money into building the Lennox Recreation Center. And I've had a lot of community engagement, but we're trying to head the right direction, so that's what we're doing.
Next caller we have is Linda B. Linda, you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Linda, are you there?
Next caller we have is B. Fung. B. Fung, you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Hi, Mayor. My name is Ben Fung. I'm the resident on Beneteau Street, which is located adjacent to the recent FCA expansion plan. My question is, with the stimulus money that we just received, are you going to allocate some of it for the home repair program? Because many of us living on Beneteau, the houses are not really safe to live in terms of air quality, in terms of the there are no central system to help us to filter out all those pollution that the plant is putting out. So that's all I want to ask.
Okay, so we're going to have to make a decision with City Council on how the money gets spent. My guess is that that'll get done in June after a number of community conversations. But I'm on Beneteau probably 3 times a week. That street looks dramatically better. We must have taken down 25 or 30 abandoned houses, and Stellantis is putting up $15,000 a house in repairs as part of that agreement. So we moved it significantly the right direction, and I'm guessing around the middle of May, we'll do a community meeting where we talk about how we should spend the American Rescue Plan money, make that decision as a community, how much goes into homes, how much goes into streetscapes, how much goes into recreation centers, how much goes into intergenerational poverty. We're going to have to make those decisions together as a community, and you should have your voice heard in that process. But there's going to be opportunity here to do things we have not had a chance to do in many, many years.
Caller, you'll be moved over to our information room. Next caller we have, again, Alexis M. Alexis M., you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Hi, Mayor.
Hey, good evening. I'm glad we got you.
Yes, the devil is busy. All right. So I want to first introduce myself. I'm the Block Club president of Living the Good Life Community Association. That is a small pocket over on the further, west end of the C4. My question is regarding our alleys. We have worked together with the city. Earlier this year, you guys did a great job coming out to clear out all of the alleys that I requested. But now that we've been surveying our alleys, we noticed that we have lots of sinkholes. In addition to that, I've been talking with neighbors, and we all pretty much have the same complaint. Backup plumbing. Basically, whenever the weather thaws. Is something that's been going on. I've been here for 9 years.
15
something
seconds.
that I've experienced every year. So I'm just wondering if there's a potential that we could partner with the city to take a further look in the alley and see what's going on.
So this is the natural process of things. We got the alleys cleaned out, and you've now seen the conditions underneath them. But fortunately, Gary Brown has dealt with a lot of sinkholes and alleys because of this, and he's going to have an answer to your question.
Good evening. And all the great work that Brad's doing in cleaning out these alleys are exposing years and years of delayed maintenance that's gone on. And so we know that we have about 32,000 sinkholes and alleys that we've sent letters out to homeowners, talking to them about how we need to get them fixed. If we get your information, we will certainly come out and talk to you and your neighborhood about how we intend to get those lateral sewer lines fixed. Unfortunately, a lot of the times our houses are aging and the sewer lines have outlived their useful life and they're collapsing, causing a sinkhole. Not necessarily the sewer line, but the lateral sewer line. So we're putting together a plan to help those homeowners that cannot afford to fix those lines. And we hopefully will be able to announce that plan publicly shortly. But we will come out, if we can get your information, and talk to you and your neighbors on what the plan is and how we think we can resolve those dangerous sinkholes and alleys.
Caller, you'll be moved over to our information room.
So Gary's been great. So you give us your number, and he'll come out, schedule a time where you and the neighbors can walk down the alley with Gary together and talk through what's the homeowner's responsibility, what's the city's responsibility, and what we can do to help those homeowners who may not be able to afford to address it. Who's next?
Next caller we have is D. Lowe. D. Lowe, you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Hi, Mayor.
Good evening.
I have a comment and a question. The comment is...
So tell me, what neighborhood are you from?
The Denby area, Old Guardian Angels Parish.
All right.
Yes. The fire safety lane, Whittier, which features 2 fire stations on it, it goes through Guardian Angels Parish, through St. Matthews, all the way out to St. Clair Montefialco, and up between Gratiot and Harper, it has gone down significantly. And if Proposal N can find some way to focus on reclaiming that street because it's not safe as it once was.
So are you talking about the condition of the road, or are you talking about the condition of the houses on the block?
Yes, the condition of the houses, and I think we've only really had like 1 EMS vehicle that had an accident on Whittier, but it's set up with the opportunity for that to happen again and again because the street has been overtaken by a different state of people. It's very it's chaos filled, and it's just gone down over the years, down. And it used to be a great kind of like secondary security because you used to see the patrol cars drive between the fire stations, and it was like it was a different comfort just on Whittier itself from Gratiot all the way down. And now we hardly ever see patrol cars.
So I want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. If we could do one thing to make you feel better on Whittier, what would it be?
To renovate or reclaim the houses in that area, especially between Gratiot and Hayes. That's where it's just the speeding cars, the noise makers. It gets weather wild. As soon as the weather heats up, it's noise for days, and it doesn't stop till 4 a.m. It's wild. And,
well, we took down some of the abandoned apartments along there that were a real problem. On the demolitions of houses, we're really trying to prioritize houses that are next to occupied houses, which may not apply here. But it sounds like the issue is more one of public safety. And Chief, I don't know if you'd like to address it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, this issue with vehicles traveling at high rate of speeds, drifting, drag racing, that's been a high priority for us, and we've been doing a pretty good job. Every weekend, I get a report out on Monday morning about the enforcement action. I just got a commitment from the Michigan State Police. They're committed to assisting us. You may have heard in other meetings where, as one of our strategies, we're using air support, undercover vehicles, and they're committed from Thursday through Sundays to put an airship up between the hours of 7, and they'll adjust 7, 4 in the morning. So we're committed to this action, and we're going to continue to hit it hard. And it's not just the.
I think his concern is public safety in Whittier, north of 94.
Was this, I thought you said about speeding. It wasn't just. Was it speeding? Because I thought I heard you say something about speeding. Are you still there? Is he still on the line?
Yes, I'm still here, sir.
What specifically are you referring to?
Well, there is just a climate of lawlessness, and speeding is part of it. I've asked for speed bumps, and nothing has come about that way. Online, I've made the request, and nobody's ever gotten back to me. And but just the fast cars with the resonators on them,
Right.
burning rubber back and forth.
Yes. And that's a top priority. You know, if I had to say our top complaint, you know, and we're dealing with violence. One of the things our department, and again, I want to go back through talking about how we're responding to these law violators on the street with cars. But in addition, we're arresting anywhere between 60 to 100 individuals who are carrying guns illegally, because we know the violence is high. And so we're continuing. I'm so proud of the men and women and what they're doing in addressing that issue. But the traffic issue is a big concern, and we're going to continue to hit it. And like I said, we've been doing it now, I would say, anywhere between 5-6 weeks, and we're making a pretty substantial impact. They know we're focusing on them. We monitor them in social media, and they know we're taking their cars. And not just impounding, in some instances, we're seizing them. So if you have any specific complaints in your district, if you would make sure you're in contact with your commander, and if it's during certain hours a day, we can focus on that complaint.
All right. So normally when I'm over there, I get on Whittier and I jump on 94, but I'm going to head farther north and take a close look at what you're talking about and see if we can't come up with some other suggestions. But thank you for raising that.
Mr. Lowe, you'll be moved over to our information room. Next caller we have is Dennis B. Dennis B., you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening.
A couple of things. My name is Dennis Bryant. I live in the LaSalle College Park neighborhood off of Gunston. Couple of issues. One for my neighborhood and another issue for another neighborhood.
Okay, go ahead.
The issue in my neighborhood is cleaning out these alleys.
Okay.
Got a lot of children's toys. A lot of blight in the alleys over there.
Have you got a block club?
I'm not sure. I just been here for almost a couple years now.
So we are cleaning out the alleys where the block club has petitioned it. So if you don't have a block club, Rod will be glad to help you form one, and you might even run for president. But as soon as you have a block club, you can partner with the General Services Department, and we will come out and get the alleys. If you already have one, you should petition for the alley cleanup. But we are responding to block club requests to clean up the alleys.
Yeah, I got the paperwork that off the City of Detroit website.
So you know, okay.
Block club. So I got that handy. My second issue is those on-ramps to I-94 from Caju, going either direction.
Yeah.
I was hoping that there could be an arrow light at at the intersection there before you get on that freeway?
So I'm going to ask our DPW director, Ron Brundage, to answer that, and I know he's going to know the answer because he lives right there. So Ron, let's see if we got an answer for this.
Thank you.
Good evening, sir, and fellow District 4 neighbor. Very familiar with the intersection of Cadue and 94, and even though that particular signal is controlled by MDOT because it directs you into the freeway, I believe there is a left turn arrow. For example, if you're going northbound on Cadue, you're making a left turn to go westbound on 94. I believe there's an existing left turn arrow. So can you please clarify your question?
Yes, I'm talking about when you get on 94 from both directions, because I know there's an arrow there on Harper. There's turn arrows on Harper going both directions, but at that light there, when you get on 94, I don't think there's not a turn signal to actually get on 94.
Okay. Let me take another look at it. Actually, I'm going to go right past that intersection when I leave the meeting tonight. I'll take another look, and if you don't mind, if I can get your information, I'll give you a call back tomorrow. But that particular intersection is an MDOT intersection, so anything that we would want to do with regards to making adjustments, we can reach out to them. And if we feel that there's a need to make some adjustments that will improve safety, we can certainly talk to MDOT and see if any changes can be made.
Yeah, and I've witnessed for myself a lot of cars literally flooring it to get onto 94, so they won't get into an accident right there.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Bryant, you'll be moved over to our information room.
All right, who's next?
Next caller we have is M.L. Elric.
Okay. It's nice you're not popping up with a camera.
We're moving on.
All right.
Next caller we have.
ML was shy. All right. That's a first. Go ahead.
Next caller we have is Tanisha B. Tanisha B., you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Hi, good evening. How you doing?
Good evening.
So I'm District 4 Benetal resident, and I'm glad you have visited our block. And yes, I agree with our block do look nice, better with the houses being torn down and things like that. But I have a couple of concerns still, like the air pollution, the noise making. I mean, I get work about every morning, 3 in the morning with all this noise. So there's got to be some kind of control system with the noise. I mean, if I gotta get up at 7 to go out and then I can wake up at 3, with all the banging, it's kind of, it's hard. Also, so I just want to concern as, you already addressed about the home improvement program. So I just want to address also where y'all going to do additional, anything with the noise, making the air pollution, things like that. And then my last question is, I have put in and sent out pictures with it's a lot next to my house that a tree have fell down that the city of Detroit or the Detroit Land Bank owns. And I send pictures and everything. I have grandkids that comes over every weekend. It's very unsafe. That nobody, they applied to me once and say, I got the information. And after that, I haven't heard from them.
So tell me what makes it unsafe?
Because the tree is closer to my house, and where how it fell over, my grandkids go back there, they will fall in the hole and get trampled all over. It's a lot.
Brad, will you get out there tomorrow? So we're talking about a tree that's fallen on Beneteau on a city property that's causing problem for the neighbor next door. So if you will give us the address, Brad Dick will have the team out there tomorrow, and if the tree on the city property is causing a risk to your kids, we'll get it out of there.
Ms. Tanisha will be moved over to our information room. Next caller we have is Alonzo B. Alonzo B., you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Hey, how you doing, Mr. Mayor?
Good evening.
How you doing? I was just calling to inquire about the airport. Is there any plans for the airport coming up anytime soon?
I'm working hard at it. And so Brad can tell you exactly where we stand, but here's the bottom line. The FAA will put significant money into the airport only after we have an approved master plan. We have that plan in front of them. It's being reviewed right now. It's been done with input of a whole lot of community groups, pilots groups, et cetera. And I think it will dramatically improve the operation of that airport. It'll also reopen McNichols by creating an underground tunnel so we can connect the two sides again. And I'm going to ask Brad if he can come up and talk about what the timing is on getting the FAA approval. And now that we have a friend, basically in the last administration, I was just trying to keep them from noticing us. But now that Joe Biden's in the White House and Mayor Pete's the transportation secretary, we got a friend. So what's our timing?
So what the mayor says exactly correct. We're moving along pretty good. We just met with the FAA yesterday. We have one more final community meeting and they want us to have. We're planning it around the 20th of May. Once that's completed, then we submit the absolute final plan. Right now it's in revision and we should have it approved sometime this summer. So, and with that allows us then to move forward with the funding and putting the plan in action. Okay.
That's awesome. Is there any way we can see that, take a look at that master plan?
No, if I can get your, it's not available for the public to look at yet, but you can come to the meeting on the 20th. Be glad to invite you. If you give your email address to the folks on the line and name and phone number, be glad to invite you. We're probably looking at somewhere in the next few years, $50 to $70 million.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.
Mr. Bell, you'll be moved over to our information room.
Yeah, we're going to have a good plan, and Councilman Scott Benson has been a very strong supporter in pushing this, and I think once we get the FAA to sign off on this, people are going to be pleased at what happens at that airport. It's going to be safer, it's going to have more business, we're going to clean up that take area that was left half undone, and we're going to see more jobs out of that airport. So we got a good plan, and we're going to see if we can get it done.
Next caller we have is Andrew C. You may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Hello, Mr. Mayor. I'm Andrina Charlie. I am the daughter of Andrew Charlie. He's sitting here right now, but he's kind of shy, so I'm his representative. So.
All right.
We're in the Riverbend location on Drexel Street. So
Okay.
And Kercheval.
Yep. I know right where you are.
Yeah. Now, you guys said you only respond to the alley, clean up an alley if there's a block club. Well, as you know, there's a lot of blight and a lot of vacant land on this street and through this community from Connors to Alta Road. How do he get a response for cleaning up the alleys, especially behind his home in this block area here?
Well,
there is not enough people. There's only like this is only one single family home left and 3 others are multi-families. So there is no block club.
So I would say this to you. A block club can be very small. And we want to be where we are invited in and people are going to be keeping an eye out after we've cleaned it. So if there's signs of dumping, we can jump on it right away. And so we've got, 7,000 blocks in this city. And there really is no way to prioritize who goes first except where the block clubs are. But if you give us the information, Rod's going to call you tomorrow. He gets credit as a district manager for forming new block clubs, and he's going to walk you through that process and see if we can't get out there.
Oh, so we're talking about Mr. Gibbons?
Yeah.
Are we talking? Oh, I've talked to Rod. Hello, is he there? Hello, Rod.
He's here.
Very, very helpful. I want you to know I spent a lot of time on the phone and he's updated me with a lot of things that's been, going on and with the plans that we would like to see in this community here.
Well, so he gets credit, as every district manager does, every time a block club is formed. So if he's been good to you, this is something you could do good for him.
Awesome.
All right.
Can I
Go ahead, you're on a roll.
Our commander contact number for, I guess it's the 5th precinct. Who's the commander? Because I do have a question for suspicious activity for a particular multifamily home.
Good evening. We can give you that number offline. I don't have it in front of me, but it's Commander Eric Ewing. He is the commander, and Captain Keith Williams is his assistant commanding officer. You have a specific complaint relative to the 5th
I
precinct?
have an address that I would like to give them. It's 1208 Drexel, 1208 Drexel.
Okay, I have also Commander Kyra Hope here as well, and she's taking that information down. But we can put the complaint in the room, and we'll have someone call you. So if you leave a number, either Commander Hope will call you or Commander Ewing. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Caller, you'll be moved over to our information room. Next caller we have is Tucson Knight.
Okay.
Tucson Knight, you may unmute yourself.
Let's see. His opponent couldn't figure out how to answer the phone, so let's see if Tucson's any better. Tucson, you with us?
Of course, I have to be.
All right. Well, you're more technological savvy than ML, so go ahead. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, doing well. I had 2 questions for you. So one was for the chief. I was out walking on Lakewood, and one of the things on Lakewood Street near the park, a lot of neighbors were complaining about the speed of individuals going up and down there. So actually, my actual question is, can we put speed bumps over there? So that might be a question for Mr. Brundage. But if not speed bumps, what can we do to kind of slow down everyone that's going so fast down that Lakewood Street? Because somebody's going to get hurt. People talked about their cars getting hit, accidents happening over there. So what's the solution?
So I know, as the mayor indicated earlier in his presentation, we're looking at putting speed bumps in a lot of areas. But in terms of, specific enforcement, if we can get the information and the times of day that this is happening, if it's happening in the evening hours, what time, we have neighborhood police officers that focus purely on traffic. And then, as I indicated to an earlier caller, we do have a robust enforcement effort against these individuals who are drag racing, drifting. It's going on all over the city. It's the #1 complaint right now. But the good news is we are making a difference, and they know we're out there. But I know it's still a big complaint. So
Awesome.
if you would get that information, we'll follow up with you. Okay?
Mr. Knight, you'll be moved over to the information room. Next caller we have is M.L. Elric. Elric, you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Okay, you were getting upstage there.
Mr. Mayor, M.L. Elric, East English Village. I want to complain about a conspiracy to keep me muted.
It's been my dream for years, ML.
I suddenly sympathize being on the other side here. It's a whole new ball game. But thank you for joining us here, at least virtually on the east side. I think the city's done a tremendous job of putting these boulders around parks and other assets that otherwise would be vulnerable to people going off-road and tearing them up. I wonder, when we get these alleys cleaned up, if it's possible to do something similar to block access to these alleys, so that once we do have the cleanups done, the bad actors can't get right back there and start us right from where we finished.
Yeah, so Brad has a program where we actually, if the neighborhood wants, put gates at the end of the alleys to close it off, and we do it in partnership. And the question is, who has the key to the lock? And a lot of times the neighbors decide the homeowner next to the gate, maybe the president of the association has it. And so the answer is yes. For community groups that want gates, we can do it. Now, we've got some neighborhoods in the city where people still come down the alley to get into the back of their garage. But if that's not the case, the neighbors want it, we will close off the ends of the alley.
Okay, and if I could add my voice to something that was brought up earlier, I know the Library Commission has the authority over this, but with all the growth we've seen in Riverbend and Jefferson Chalmers anything the city could do to help get that Monteith branch reopened, it would really be an asset to have another library. And I think it would do a lot to help you and the other efforts in fighting illiteracy here in the city.
You know, Dr. Vitti and I are starting to have these conversations, and there is a significant amount of American Rescue Plan money going to the Detroit Public Schools, a significant amount coming to the city of Detroit, and I would hate to see the libraries fall through the cracks. And so, you know, Dr. Vitti is going to have to decide what priority goes to schools and what goes to libraries. I think you can probably guess where his emphasis is, but I'm hoping we can figure out a solution. So, but I appreciate what you're saying. And to be fair, somebody ought to text Virgil Smith and tell him to call in. All right, who's up?
Mr. Elric, you'll be moved over to the information room. Next caller we have is Letitia J.
Oh, here we go.
Letitia J., you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute.
Let's just put all the candidates up in order. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I'm surprised you didn't mention me, but
I was about to.
I'm so glad I was right behind ML. So I have several questions. One, I'd like to know how the lead service line pilot program is going in Cornerstone Village, because our nonprofit organization does own 2 properties in Cornerstone. I also want to find out if the expansion of the NEZ has taken place, if we've identified where those areas are now within District 4. And my final question is, does anyone have any suggestions on how to slow traffic where there's a fire safety route? Because on Alta Road, a lot of residents have issues with speeding traffic, but because it is a fire safety route, they cannot get the speed humps.
Yeah, so you're asking 3 excellent questions. As Gary Brown comes up, on the NEZ, I think it's in front of council now, and they're going to have to decide on the borders. They didn't decide it today, did they? So I know the issue on where the NEZ boundaries are, council is considering right now. My guess is it'll get worked out in the next month. The question on the secondary roads, basically, that are too heavily trafficked to have speed humps, but still are pretty narrow and dangerous, is something that we're looking at citywide. And as far as the question of how the lead pipe replacement program is going, Gary Brown is here. But I want everybody to know, this is Letitia Johnson, another one of the candidates. So I want to make sure she was properly introduced. I think you're still in East English Village, aren't you, Letitia?
I am. I've been here 16 years and active for 14.
All right, go ahead.
Thanks for answering the question. The program is going great. As you probably know, we started in 2 areas, North Rosedale Park as well as Cornerstone. It's pretty much a pilot to get our process down. We've gotten more than 12,000 lead service lines replaced. I went over in Rosedale and looked at 5 that got done today. We want to speed up. We want to go faster. We need to do about 4,000 a year, but we just need the dollars to do it. And I'm cautiously optimistic that we're going to be receiving funding very shortly to be able to meet our goal of about 4,000 a year to get the service lines out of the way. You mentioned 2 addresses that you were concerned about. If you leave the addresses with the information, folks that are taking the information, I'll be more than happy to take a look and see if they qualify.
Ms. Johnson, you'll be moved over to information room.
I will be with a group of congressmen and women with some Midwestern mayors pitching together exactly that program tomorrow morning to get funding at the federal level to speed up this lead line replacement. I'm optimistic we're going to make progress. So I know Rashida Tlaib and Debbie Dingell and a number of the national congressional delegation will be on in the morning and are all working to help us.
Next caller we have is T. Owens. T. Owens, you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Hi, I am a long-time employee of the city of Detroit, and I'm retired as of May of last year, 2020. I have a question. I recently purchased 2 homes I'm in District 4, by the way. I recently purchased 2 homes in the, I guess it would be the Outer Drive and Hayes area. And I have a question about, it's a land bank property that I am interested in purchasing the land behind the houses that I just purchased. And it's a couple of lots, but there's a property that is owned by the land bank just directly behind my property. And it has trash and debris that's been dumped there. Now I've paid out of pocket to, somewhat try to clean the alley of this area up, but the trash is behind the fence, and it's like, look like somebody just dumped trash in there.
So I'd like to tell you that we have an answer at the moment. So we have concentrated in cutting the grass and cleaning the front. The land bank owns 80,000 properties. We're going to cut the grass in every one of them 5 times this year. This is again going to be a conversation that we're going to have in May because thanks to Joe Biden, we've got funds that we haven't had before. And one of the priorities that I hope City Council considers funding is getting into the backyards of the land bank houses because I bet you we have easily 3,000 or 4,000 land bank houses where the backyards are a mess, and we want to get there. So I'm hoping that we're going to have extra money for that purpose. I can't tell you we're going to get there right away. The other thing is you might want to consider the possibility of buying the side lot and taking it yourself.
Ms. Owens, you'll be moved over to the information room. Next caller we have is Jacqueline P. Jacqueline P., you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Good evening.
Next caller we have is number ending in 161. Number 161, you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Yes, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to know if it was possible, when was you going to be out here in this area on my Ross and Marn, look at the property? Because, man, you spoke before we walked up the street, and I was showing you the different houses and different issues that we was having. And I wanted to know, when would you be able to come out again so I could show you this property personally?
So remind me, what was I supposed to do?
Okay. I was had a complaint about the property on my Ross and the illegal dumping and the tearing down the property.
Right.
It was a corner house. But like I said, our block club president, I don't happen to never know the name of the block club, but you had came out to her house several times and we had spoke. And at one time, me, you had actually walked up and down the street, and I was telling you that.
I remember. Was I supposed to do something? I remember being out there. Was I supposed to do something?
Oh, you took care of that matter already.
Oh, good. I was going to say, so you want me to come out again and fix something else?
Yes. What I had, okay, I'm the first caller that came over, and I was telling you how Mr. Perkins had helped me and so fast about cleaning up this abandoned house next to my house.
Right.
But it was other issues that I wanted you to, like, because last time, every time you told me to come out here and just talk to you, you call you up, but you come out here. I just want to know if it was possible, if you going to come out here anytime soon.
I would love to. Have you been vaccinated?
I have.
Okay, good. Now I'm going to come see you. So here is the thing. As you know, I used to once a week be in somebody's living room or backyard in exactly this kind of situation, and it's been driving me nuts that I haven't been able to for the last year. But in light of the CDC guidelines, I'm hoping very shortly that I can at least do backyard house events once a week, and I'd love to get back to your neighborhood. So, Rod, let's get that high up on the list, and encourage your neighbors to get vaccinated, and I'll come out and hang out with them.
Caller, you'll be moved over to the information room. Next caller we have is Joanne Smith. Joanne, you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Joanne, are you with us?
Next caller we have is Tracy M. Tracy M., you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question. Next caller we have is number ending in 848. Number 848. You may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Awesome. My name is Carolyn Lewis. I live at 9130 Devonshire Road. I want to give a shout out to the police chief. I think your officers are doing a phenomenal job in my neighborhood. I've been a member of St. Matthew's Church my whole life. They literally come down through this neighborhood. I mean, excellent police presence. I'm forever grateful. But I do have a problem, Mr. Mayor, with the block that's next to my home.
Okay.
Been in my home for 15 years.
Okay.
You guys were gracious enough to tear the house down when you first got in and started taking down the houses.
Right.
But it's huge. It's like a huge lot, right? So I made 75 complaints. I have every single number, asking them, hey, you guys are not cutting this lot. You're not maintaining this lot. I've had trees that have fallen down on my fence that I've had to replace. So I went from farmers homeowners insurance to Michigan Basic Insurance, because when you live in the city, you can't make too many complaints when you have the good insurance. Okay.
Go slow for me. You're saying a land bank property has trees that are causing a risk to your property?
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor, and they don't maintain it. So I've called the land bank. They're like, oh, we only own this side and the city owns the other side. So I call the city, I make 50 complaints. All they do is just send it back and forth. So all I do is keep a record, because I do work for Wayne County. Well, I used to work for Wayne County as a clerk. So
all right. Well, this is why we have a district manager, is so that you don't have to sort this out. So you're going to hear from Rod in the morning.
One more thing, Mr. Mayor.
What's that?
One more thing. Then DTE comes and they just drop laws in the lot. So when I see Payne, who you guys have the contract with to cut it, they won't cut it up to the fence line, because they're like, oh, DTE has laws and there's trees that's falling. Well, what you want me to do? So at night, it's a blind spot for me. Thank God for DPD, because they actually come down this neighborhood, so I feel safe when I'm coming home from my second job at night to go on my home. But
Okay, I want us to get out and solve your problem for you. And this is the kind of story that drives me nuts, that you have to solve which department is which. So Rod's going to call you, and if there is a city or land bank property with trees that are a risk to you, Brad is going to come out and get the trees. So we will follow up on this in the morning, and we will not ask you to sort through our bureaucracy anymore. That's what your district manager is for. All right?
Caller, you'll be moved over to the information room. Next caller we have is number ending in 924. Number 924, you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. This is Robert Shove off of Beneteau Street.
Okay, how are you?
I'm fairly well. I could be a lot better if we could get our house made safe for us to live in, and repair from the construction that was done for months. And also, my third part to it is that some of us have issues with health and things of that nature, and some of us would like to get out of here. We don't want to take the chance. And the fourth part is can we do something to have something in the community to make us aware when Chrysler has a problem over there, other than us hearing their bells and alarms going off, and we have no idea what's going on? That's the end of my question.
Okay, well, I would say this. You may not be happy with me yet, but I am going to predict that the property values on Beneteau are going to rise about as fast as any in this city. Certainly what we've done already has been remarkable, but we are also going to target going into the abandoned houses and fixing them up. I think it is going to significantly raise the value on the block, and I think you're going to get the chance to get out of there. So I know you've wanted us to buy you out forever, but I think you just when you one day sell the house for a good price, just send me a note to say I wasn't so bad.
All right, caller, you'll be moved over to the information room. Next caller we have is Jacqueline P. Jacqueline P., you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
All right, we got time for about 4 or 5 more.
Next caller.
Hello.
Okay.
Hi,
Good evening.
MP. Oh, good evening, Mayor. I'm calling about our community. I'm in the Denby Neighborhood Alliance, and I'm over the Great Communities Now community organization. And we're trying to take a piece of property off your hands and turn it into a beautiful community center. We've recently been the recipient of a Kresge grant, and we're trying to do some enhancements along our Whittier corridor.
So when
But
you
we're having a
say a
little problem with getting our application looked at.
when you say a community center, what do you want to put there?
Well, it's a multi-purpose community center, so we're looking at in the
Yeah, you're breaking up on us.
Caller, you'll be moved over to our information room.
Rob, why don't you follow up?
level that
Okay, we can't hear you, but we're gonna move you over, and Rod's gonna follow up tomorrow.
Next caller we have is
oh, you couldn't hear.
Jamelia D. Jamelia D, you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Can you hear me?
We can.
All right. Good evening. My name is Jamila Darnell. I have 3 quick questions for you because I own 3 different properties.
Tell me your neighborhood.
My permanent resident, I am Wyoming, Pembroke area.
Huh?
And I want to start with that. I live on a short street between Chippewa and Pembroke.
Uh-huh.
Have deaf people on the street. We have blind people on the street. I've requested speed bumps several times. I've heard nothing. And I'm surprised you can't hear the 4-wheelers going up and down my street.
So Ron, is there a way somebody can look and see if the speed humps are scheduled on their block this summer? How do they do that?
They can actually go to the Untitled.gov website and check on the Department of Public Works. And we've got
Yep, I did all of that. And I do qualify because
Okay, so what Ron's saying is, on the DetroitMI.gov website and DPW, there is a map that shows where we're going this year, but if you give us your address offline, Ron's going to call you and tell you whether you're on the list. But we got 4,600 going in this year, so there's going to be a lot of them.
Perfect.
Go ahead, what's your second question? Did I lose her? You still there?
Can you hear me?
I can. So you had another question.
Correct. My second question is about a property that I have on like Joy Road and Dexter area. It's actually on Carter and Dexter. And there is this humongous tree that is on the city's property that the next rain we get is going to tear the house down.
So you give us the address offline, and if it's a city tree between the sidewalk and the street that is not healthy, we will come out and get it right away.
Perfect.
Good. What's your third one?
My third question is for the other property that I have that is right in the backyard of Northwest
You're quite a
Activity Center.
real estate mogul. I like this. Go ahead.
I love Detroit. So
All right, great.
this one is right in the backyard of Northwest Activity Center.
Okay.
Beautiful block, but the trees that I'm assuming is following up with like some of those other questions, the alley questions, it's backing up into the basement, causing a lot of issues with the plumbing over there. So
Okay.
I don't know if that's a question for the water
It
department.
is. So if you leave the address, Gary Brown will have somebody call, and they will come out and take a look as to what the cause of it is and figure out a solution.
Thank you.
All right, so you leave us all the addresses, and then keep buying property.
Caller, you'll be moved over to our information room. Next caller we have is Ruben B.
Okay, we're going to take one more after this one. We're running a little bit late, and I want everybody to be able to see the president. So go
Ruben
ahead.
B, please. You may unmute yourself.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor Young, it's on my mind today when I'm talking to you, Mike Duggan.
Yeah, I was going to say I've been called a lot of things, but that's a new one. Go ahead.
No, Coleman Young is on my mind.
Okay.
what he did in 1974. But what I want to talk to you about is, I talked to you during the District 1 meeting, and you said if there was information regarding irregularities in the Detroit Police Department, you would look at.
Okay, we're not going through this. Go on to the next one. We're not doing hatchet jobs on people on these calls.
Next caller we have is M. Eddins. M. Eddins, you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Hi, yes. Hi, Mayor Duggan.
Good evening.
Hi, my name is Mycia Eddins. I spoke with you a long time ago, but I stay on Aretha Street in Midtown in Woodbridge Estates. I just wanted to know if we can get, I actually have two questions. If we can get speed bumps on our street. They placed them behind our street, but not on our actual street.
So
they
leave us
placed
your
them like-
address, and we're going to get you the answer as to whether you're on the schedule for this year. What's your second question?
I wanted speed bumps for my mom's street on Nashville. She stays off Gunston in Gratiot.
So we've got 4,600 speed humps going in this summer that were done based on a combination of traffic, of speeding reports, of number of children, et cetera. And so if you give us the addresses, we will let you know whether you're one of the 4,600 that are scheduled this year. And if not, there's a good chance you'll be in next year. But let's get you those addresses. Ron, do you know the answer? Oh, Ron Brundage, this guy must be a genius. He says Nashville is in for speed humps. So I don't know how he knows that off the top of his head, but he says Nashville is good.
Ms. Eddins, you'll be moved over to our information room.
All right. Last question of the night.
Last caller we have is number ending in 677. Number 677, you may unmute yourself. You have 1 minute to ask your question.
Are you with us?
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello. Good evening. I'm on Benetal between Warren and Mac,
Okay.
and I was having problems with the flooding. Now I've lived here for 20-something years in this house, and when the houses across the street were tore down, it was 6 houses in front of me across the street was tore down.
Right.
Two houses a house down from me were tore down.
Right.
So when the big snow we had melted, it flooded my basement. I've never had an issue with flooding. We had a big rain, and the alleys flooded, the street flooded, and all the water came through the front of my basement.
So if you give us your address, normally demolitions in more green spaces, less flooding, not more. So something obviously went wrong. If you will give us your address, Gary Brown will get somebody out there tomorrow, and we will figure out what went wrong. But there's no reason that clearing space should make your flooding worse, not better. So something went wrong, and we're going to figure it out.
And caller, you'll be moved over to an information room.
All right, our next meeting is next Tuesday for District 5. It'll start at 7 o'clock. And thank you all very much for being here tonight.